good evening, and good evening. We're welcoming you all. I want to tell you, you're going to have to tune in tonight because we have the exciting visionary Dr. Jennifer Bryant, along with the authors who are in SILG, Step into Leadership Greatness. And we're coming to you tonight talking about motivating and excelling others. This is a new book that is releasing soon. And I am glad that my co-authors and the visionary, everyone is here. And we just want to say, go get the book. But you're getting ready to dive into tonight. And we're going to have a great time talking about this. And actually, we're going to give you some tools. Now, we're not going to give you everything, but we will say, go get yourself a notepad, because what you want to hear tonight is what possible and better what way, what's going on now that we have to motivate. Even Dr. J, I think, you know what? This was a perfect example, another perfect time, because honey, Lord knows the folks need some motivation right now, what's going on. So, Dr. Jennifer, thank you so much for coming back. We are here.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. I'm tagging folks to make sure that they are seeing this video, because I want people to join in while we having a good old conversation about leadership. I am super excited that the co-authors have decided to join me, and I think some may not have seen some of the faces before on your show. So let's get it going. I'm excited.
Yes, most definitely. And I want to say welcome, True. Thank you for being here on tonight, for watching and listening. We ask you, audience, to like and share this podcast here, because I have some great, phenomenal ladies that are here on the panel tonight. So I just want you to listen with good ears. And I'm going to tell you, let's say it's okay to make mistakes, but when we make those mistakes, that's how we motivate to tell others the truth about when we make those mistakes. And that's how we actually help others to grow. Because if something you went through, especially in leadership, expose it. Because you know what? Because people think sometimes that when we go and do some things as motivation, Dr. J, can I just go there? Because I think it's in my spirit to say this. In this world, we think that what you see, everyone here on this panel tonight, we have had some tools and tiles to climb, right? Just because what you see right now, it ain't always been there. Somebody had to motivate us. And that's why we are here to talk about how you motivate through leadership. So Dr. J, do you want to introduce some of your authors that's in this?
Oh, so here's the deal. Here's the fun part about this part. They can introduce themselves, right? So um they have a voice. If anyone who knows me, I'm about giving folks their voice in their time. So we're going to go around, and we're going to start off with you, the Honorable Savannah Winston. If you can start off, and then you can call on the next person. As I like to say, I'm going it around.
Yes, good evening, great evening. The Honorable Savannah Winston here, over here on the eastern shore of Maryland, in a small town called Preston, Maryland. Representing as the president of the commission, or the mayor, for the town that I live in. I'm glad to be here on tonight. We are absolutely leading in a time that is volatile and uncertain. So we definitely need these words of encouragement and empowerment. So I'm excited to, just talk to everyone and tell you a little bit about my journey. Dr. Talantine Benjamin.
Somehow I knew I was next.
We got our Z5B Soras in the house.
Yes. So I am Dr. Talantine Benjamin. I am joining you from a little town, I guess a suburb of Raleigh, North Carolina. It is called Clayton, North Carolina. And I wear quite a few hats, as most leaders do. Um, so in my day job, I am a federal employee, but in some of the other hats I wear for the sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, I serve as the state of North Carolina's Leadership Development and Training Coordinator. Um, I serve as the president of the Clayton chapter, Chi Xi Zeta chapter in Clayton, North Carolina. And I also serve as the Eastern region's retention coordinator.
All right.
And I
Listen.
go ahead. I was going to pass it on to the next person.
Go on, pass the mic.
I will pass the mic to Danielle.
Thank you so much. Well, Danielle or DJ, I go by either one. I am a specialist in training and development. I've been in the industry for over a decade at this point, and it's really my love. But recently I've taken on more of a leadership role. So now I lead a team in this training and development. So it's a perfect blend of training and leadership and development. And I serve on a number of different boards, and I love to also volunteer my time. One of the nonprofits I work with is called Braven, where they work with soon to graduate students to prepare them for the working world. So I'm just passionate about reaching out, that outreach, inspiring those to lead. And yeah, I think that's kind of my background. And then I think we have Katrina.
Yes, good evening, not afternoon, long day, ladies. So my name is Katrina Tasby. I hail from all the way in the South, from H-Town, Houston, Texas here. So I am a federal employee as well with over 20 years experience and in management, leading teams. I have supervised anywhere from 4 to 16 people at any given time in my career here. So I definitely have vast experience in dealing with multiple different personalities here in my current position and in previous positions as well. And that is definitely a passion of mine, and somewhat you would say in grooming the younger generation to take over, because and one day they will be the ones that are leading organizations and companies in certain times as we go forth. And also, I know we have a lot of Zetas in the house, but I must represent my sorority, the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So much D9 love to all you Zetas in the house, ladies.
We love you, D9 sis. We love you.
So listen up, audience. You done heard it. Very effective leaders around here. Great skill sets here. So we are getting ready to dive in. How can we take leadership, to another would help motivate others? So there's different categories that I'm going to talk about. But Dr. J, I'm going to ask you this one because, you are the visionary behind SILG3. I had the pleasure of being in 2, and I know a couple of people, that'll be watching have had the experience of that. And I thank you again for asking me and to be a part of this again. So when we talk about vision and purpose, because we know as a leader, you have to have a vision. When you have this vision, you also have to extend the courtesies of purpose. So in this SILG3, can you explain what is the vision and the purpose behind doing this now?
Well, the thing is I'm all about obedience, Dr. Michelle. So you and I have had many conversations, weekly conversations, and I wanted to launch SILG3. I was going to do it last year, but the timing just wasn't right. So I moved when it was time to move, and I got really more focused on, and Katrina kind of hit on it, I got focused on succession planning, right? And how the world needs to make sure that we're grooming our next generation of leaders. And how can we scale our leadership for greater impact by being a force multiplier? And I think back to the lessons that I've learned throughout my leadership journey, and also having the pleasure of leading a huge business resource group of women of 24,000 women, which is a huge feat, with another leader. It taught me a lot of lessons. And so I said, I'm grateful that there are other leaders, industry experts, who said, let me join her on this movement. I call it a movement. Step into Leadership Greatness is about movement. It's about legacy building. And I'm glad that I had the blessing and fortune, and I'm going to talk about this for a little bit, and I hope I don't get teared up about it, in terms of legacy building, is our own Dr. Devetta Henderson was part of SILG3, and to see how she stepped into her leadership greatness and the legacy that she left. Quiet individual, but she definitely was a force multiplier. And she was super supportive of so many people. And I had to include her in the book. So it's a dedication to her in this book. And this is what this is all about, in terms of force multiplication, right? Is making sure you're answering the assignment. I'm talking about the foundation, right? In terms of my mom, the legacy that she left in me to move forward in terms of being able to bless others. So that's what the whole book in sum is about: impact, right? Impact, the leadership that you bring to the table, humanizing leadership through these wonderful stories, along with strategies and tools. So that's the vision behind the book. How can we help others, right?
That's it. That's it. So now we're going to move into the next phase when we're talking about leadership and collaboration. Because again, all of us are a part of this, and it's all about using the gifts that God has given us, to how to promote and motivate and make multipliers. Because that's what it is. None of this that we do is for us, but it's for the others. So I'm going to move on to Dr. Talantine. I'm going to ask you, can you define what is a visionary leader?
All right, let's see. My definition of a visionary leader. Well, for me, everything that I do is a result of my upbringing, and part of that is what I learned from my mother is my faith. So that plays a huge role in how I do everything, especially how I lead. So I believe in spiritual gifts, and one of my spiritual gifts is vision and foresight. And for me, that is just being able to see visionary, being able to see and plan for the future. So visionary meaning you can see past the circumstances and where you are right now, and looking at a future, and really just stepping out there on faith that you can help bring plans together, ideas that can take the organization, the team forward and move them forward to whatever that is. But being able to craft that vision or put that plan together.
All right. And then we're still talking about collaboration and leadership. So I'm going to move to Katrina. I'm going to ask you this question, because I know you talked about your role and how you have led teams. So what qualities do you look for in others first before building the team to help them motivate?
Qualities that I look for is seeing that they want to actually, for one, be there and do the job, or work with others. Because you see some people, they just have a nonchalant attitude. It's just like they're just there to collect the paycheck and move on. But then you see some people that have the willingness to learn and are in openness to learn from others and take constructive criticism. So that's one of the most things I look for. The second thing I look for is people that actively listen and not just hear what they want to hear and then go forth and do. People that listen and take on what you're telling them, even if it's right or wrong. Not so much right or wrong, but if you're telling them, hey, this was incorrect, this is how you correct it, and not just block out what you're telling them. People that just want to be there and want to move forward, move up, and just not work. They work off the work and not off of emotion. I have an example of a young lady that's literally working off of how she feels about what's going on in an organization right now within upper management, but not about policies and procedures and how to actually take that and work in her favor.
Okay, good stuff. Then the Honorable Savannah Wilson, I'm going to ask you this question. So can you share an experience where teamwork made your leadership more effective?
Well, yes. An example. So being a community leader, and again, that's just one area of leadership that I'm involved in, but being a community leader where I oversee community programs and I have a team. So it's through the team that makes the program successful. So even though, I see the program, I allow them to bring their skills to the table. I allow them to buy into the teamwork. And I think that's important. When you work with a team and grow a team for your programs to be successful, you have to allow your team to buy into it and put their skills and commitment into the project. And so that has been the success in one of the community programs that I do lead here in my area, in my community.
All right. And DJ, the question goes for you. How do you balance your personal leadership with allowing others to lead within their leadership roles?
That's a really good question. I think that right now I have a direct report where I really envision in them, I can see in them leadership potential so strongly. And so I see it as kind of my mission to set them up for success when it comes to that succession planning. So thinking about, what skills do they need? What do they need to see practices demonstrated? What skills do they need to try out in a safe environment? I think a lot of that goes into creating this space where they can experiment, they can try it out, they can gain those skills and feel comfortable and ready when the opportunity presents itself. They're prepared. And, one of my favorite sayings is, you don't have to get ready if you stay ready. And I truly believe it because, the more opportunities you provide others to grow their skills while they're under your leadership, the further I think they can go, and you are able to then see them and kind of push them along to the next step on their journey, and not just hope that they know what they're doing, but know for sure that under your purview, under your leadership, then they were able to gain those skills and really become a leader themselves.
That is it. That's the key. That is generate the key, because sometimes we have to sit back and watch to really, can they really be that effective? So I have some comments here. I have Tanya Sherwood. She's saying, hi, you beautiful ladies. I had True Russell again. She said, so true. Thank you for that comment. So look, ladies, we're actually going to take a quick little break. And when we come back, we're going to finish up this discussion on this. And hey, I'm excited because when I come back, Dr. Jennifer is going to tell you some good seasoned meat that's going to be coming along in a couple of weeks. So we're going to take a quick break and we're going to be right back. Welcome back to the Upfront Mind, Body, Soul, where I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Bolden Hammond. And listen, I am here with the visionary and the co authors, Dr. Jennifer Jones Bryant. And we're excited because maybe in a couple weeks, not maybe, but in a couple weeks, we are going to have a big celebration that's going to be happening. So, Dr. Jennifer, when we talking about you to just created, talked about the legacy that is all behind that. So I want you to share, this is a part of a story. And storytelling is a way also to motivate others in leadership because we have to share the story. So can you also share the story on the impact that why this is important and what's going to be happening for future generations?
Absolutely, absolutely. My whole theme is focusing on learning yourself, right? The self awareness that needs to happen within yourself, self awareness, self regulation, and being able to read rooms, being able to be an influencer of others because you have to get work done through other people. I could not have been able to pull together this book, and I'm still blown away. Like none of us knew what we were writing. And when the chapters start coming in, I said, "Oh my God, this is coming together beautifully." And I was talking to the forward author, and she was saying the same thing. And she was, she themed it out. I was able to theme it out. And then we had one author, who wrote about puzzle, and the cover of the book has the puzzle pieces. And that, like, I was like, oh, that's going to be the bookend. But then when I sat still for a little bit and talking about being obedient, and I started thinking through some things in order, I was like, yeah, I'm going to write the introduction. But then God was like, hey, I need you to add more to this. And so when you get in the book, you'll see there's some pages in there in which I'm hoping that it will lift and uplift and motivate others and for them to understand the step framework and how this is a movement. This is a brand. This is beyond any of us. Because I continue to say your big why has to be bigger than your ego. And this book talks about how these stories shared and the lessons learned and the importance of the common themes of mentorship and sponsorship. And Dr. Benjamin talked about the trifecta, right? And it's just beautifully weaved together. I am so proud of the authors in terms of them putting their heart and soul into it. And I know all of us were like super busy during the time. And the thing is, I was like, hey, it's gonna all come together. It's gonna all come together. Don't worry about it. So we're gonna have a celebration on February the 20th, and it's going to be National Leadership Day. And each of the authors, they're going to share a little bit about themselves, their chapter, because they can't give it all away, right? They got to whet the appetite just a little bit. We're going to want you to purchase the book. But the other cool part is earlier that day, we're going to be launching our bestseller campaign, and people will be able to get the Kindle version. And by the time we get to the evening, people will be like super amped up. And so they'll see more information surrounding that. And we'll be talking a little bit more about the foundation as well during that celebration. And I can't forget, we're going to have a DJ. We're going to have a DJ. And y'all going to forget he's a Christian DJ, right? Last time we had him come, I had to let people know, like, we about to shut this down. So if y'all want to still stay on here, so things gonna be shut down. So I'm excited about that part as well. So it's gonna be a good time. And I see in my vision that this book is going to be just like the other versions in all different outlets, right? Academia, corporate, federal government. It's going to be everywhere. And I can see internationally as well. I was on a UK program recording the other day, so that'll be out next week. So I'm excited.
Global.
Global, honey, global.
Global. So we have Mika Dyer. She says, hello, ladies. I have Victoria Holland. Hello. She says hello and congratulations. Victoria is I'm working on a project with Victoria as well. So she will be coming here. But it's again, that's all how you multiply and make a force of multiplication on your leadership. That's so very important. So empowering. The last one we're going to be talking about empowering others. Even sometimes the types of personalities. I think one of the co-authors, she said this about, sometimes the different personalities, but we still got to work with them. And, there can be strategies and there can be tools on different ways. So I would like to say and ask this question to, how do you use a strategy to inspire someone, especially if the personality doesn't quite work with yours? So I'm going to start with you, Katrina, on that question, and I'm going to go around the panel.
A strategy that I use is I try to get to know the employee. And you know how they always say you meet the person where they're at. I don't necessarily try to meet them where they're at. I just try to actually know who they are. So if employee personality is a little bit, I'll say Debbie Downer type personality, I try to come around them and let them see the brighter side of things. So if they say, like recently we all had to go back into the office, telework is done. And so I always say, in our section, we all really get along. We go to lunch together for the most part. Everyone is, really good. Not so much friends, but friendly in our little section. I told her, I said, well, think back to before COVID, it was good. I said, if COVID never happened, we would never been teleworking so much. I try to get her to an alternate way of thinking about it instead of always thinking in a negative. I had another employee, who always had circumstances that always seemed to be beyond her control. And I always tell her, I said, think about the what if. I said, always think it's someone having a bad day that's worse than yours. I said, so you always can think, this happened, that happened. When it comes to work products, and I always tell her, did you cross your T's and dot your I's? Did you do all your checks and balances? I said, don't look at it as if I'm getting on you. Think I'm trying to make you be better at your work. I said, because one day if I hit the lottery, I'm not going to be here. I said, you got to hear as though, hey, what would Katrina do in these instances? I want to check at least 3 times before I send something up. I send something to headquarters. You have to be able to situate yourself in a way that's going to have you being better instead of being at the same place. I said, especially if you want to get promoted, you can't think that someone's always out to get you. You have to think certain things for yourself. I said, you got to always go by policy. So I try to get them to think an alternate way of thinking instead of always, oh, woe was me type of thinking. It's always a positive way to think around things.
Good. Same question for you, Dr. Talanting.
That's actually a great question. And just thinking about what Katrina just said, I think for me, in my experience, sometimes we as the leaders have to change our way of thinking, and we have to be the ones who have to shift. Because sometimes we just have to, because if you come across sometimes those employees where no matter what you do, you aren't going to be able to get them to shift and change. So sometimes we just have to come to the realization that we have to change and adjust our tactics that we're using and our strategies and figure out how to still accomplish the mission and still navigate around the personalities, but definitely focus on the mission.
Same question for you, Savannah.
So, I heard Katrina say the way they think, the mindset. I found myself as of lately working with those that are, quite younger than I am, and the mindset is a bit different. So I think the strategy is to actually empower them, meet them where they are, but empower them. I've just become into that mentor role. So I sit take the time to listen to them, find out where they are, and then I empower them so that strategically they can see the outcomes of their actions and the way they think, and then maybe see how they can shift, because at some point that's where I'm going to, advise them that there may be a point, where you need to shift your mindset. So that's the strategy, is to actually empower.
All right. And DJ, the question goes to you as well.
Thanks. I really like what Katrina said about getting to know them as people. I think for me, that has really been the strongest strategy that's worked really consistently. Generally, I work for a global company, and so there are times where there might be a language barrier, a cultural barrier, and maybe barrier is too strong a word, but there are differences between, where we're coming in to solve this problem, work on this task, work on this project together. So I think it's really important to try and get to know each other as people, really drop as many of those barriers as possible, and come together and focus on what you're really trying to tackle as a team. So instead of you versus me, it's us versus the problem. I think this also works great in relationships too, outside of the workplace. But I love that mentality of it's us together as a team trying to tackle this problem, and not just us versus each other.
Great, good. So I'm going to start with you, Danielle, with this question, and I'm going to go around the panel again. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to be a leader, but doubts their ability to inspire others?
Okay, so I think probably two things. One would be to find leaders that you respect and admire, and talk to them and ask them to share about their journey, where they came from, and really see them as people. And the other is to reach out to those who are around you, those you consider peers, anyone you've helped, maybe somebody you helped get acquainted at a new job. Maybe you weren't directly their manager or anything like that, but connect with them and ask them about how they see you. And most of the time, I think you'll probably be surprised when you ask those around you how they see you, because we tend to have put these blinders on. We don't really fully see ourselves as ourselves. We don't see our powers as they are. We tend to dismiss them because we see them so often. It's kind of like, maybe you notice the first gray hair that pops up, but when you have 10 or 15, you might not notice all of them. I know they're coming in, but it strikes me that way. When we look at ourselves in the mirror every single day, we don't notice every tiny little thing, but others, they will see that about us and they can tell us. So those strengths, how we stand out, how they see us, how we inspire them. I think other people telling me how they saw me was truly impactful, because they saw stuff that I missed, that I didn't pay attention to, or I didn't think was a superpower, but they most definitely did.
I just want to say I'm sitting here welling back tears, because this happened last week when we were on talking about it. So Dr. Jennifer had mentioned about Dr. DeVita, and DJ, you didn't know. So we talked about how she's still showing up, even though she's not here with us, but she's here in spirit. And Dr. DeVita was one of my friends, team builder, in a retreat, that we went to, Sweatpants and Chill. And the thing during that team building exercise was, who are you? And I see you. So that's just to let you know that she is still here with us in this SILG. Yeah, oh gosh.
Oh, thank you for sharing. Oh.
I did. I'm sorry, but
no.
That just had to come out. She's here with us. So yeah, she was my team partner with that at the retreat. I see you. And when I saw that, when you just said that, I hear her in my back of my head with that.
Mm.
So, same question for you, Savannah. The same question is, what advice would you give to someone who wants to be a leader but doubts that their ability is to inspire others?
That's actually part of my story. For me, and I've said it before, Dr. Bryant is one of my mentors, and I've struggled with embracing it, just embracing my call to leadership. Woman of faith, and God has called me to lead, and I do believe there is a leader in everyone, but you have to embrace it. And it took me a long time to accept and embrace my journey. So that's my advice. In each of us, we have to embrace our journey. Our journeys are different. We're all unique, but you have to embrace your journey. And then from there, it's all about that personal awareness, getting to know who you are, where your strengths are, and being okay with leading, being okay with, people telling you how they influence you. And it is impactful, but embrace it, accept it. This is who God called you to be. So that would be my advice. Embrace your journey.
And we have Sapphire Queen here say, good evening, ladies. And my sister here, empower and engage, she says. So Dr. Talantine, the same question for you.
So I've already heard folks say, get yourself a mentor, accept the call to lead. I would also add to that, do some of the assessments like a DISC assessment or strength finders, and I think maybe it was mentioned already, but I heard what I think sounds like a 360 assessment, which is when you take an assessment of how you see yourself as a leader and then others and how they see you as a leader. And you kind of look at that entire report and put it all together and use that as a tool to help you grow and to build those gaps. So that's kind of how I would suggest, with all the other things that everyone else has said. I think all of those can help prepare a person for leadership.
Great. And Katrina, the last for you, the question, the same question.
So for me, I would take a bunch of those, but for me, it depends on the person, and not to say no one person can't be in leadership, but like how they say, know your child, your employees as well. So depending upon the employee that comes to me, I would have to have an upfront conversation with them, because all employees, depending on where they're at in their juncture of their career, may not be ready for leadership or management or even to lead a team. So for me, I would have to have a very serious conversation to say, hey, you may want to, not so much alter yourself, but alter maybe your attitude in the workplace, because some employees may want to be up there, but their attitude kind of deters them and they may be viewed in a certain light. So that's one tough conversation I may have to have with a certain employee, if that's something that they aspire to be within management or in a leadership position, either leading a team or taking on a special project, because they may be viewed differently from the rest of the employees in the workplace. So if I put that person in that position, I'm gonna get the side off from everybody else, like, well, why you put them into it, whatever. You know how they are, their attitude stinks and stuff like that. So that's why I said I view it kind of like a double-edged sword. Like, I will give them all the tools, but tell them to look within yourself and have a real conversation with them about how they are viewed from others, because they can go and ask people, like, what do you think of me? And they may tell them, oh, you're awesome, you're great. And they're like, so I would have to be the one that had that hard conversation with them, like, yeah, you're not so awesome, you're not so great.
Great. So listen, audience, we are about to almost be over with this conversation, but I'm going to ask Dr. Jennifer for this last final finale of the question, because we're talking about impact and legacy here. And Dr. Tashika Green, she says, congratulations. She has just joined in. So through this phenomenal book, that's a #1 bestseller internationally and nationally, we will say it's already done. How do you want this legacy and what you hope to leave with this legacy through the work as a leader and a motivator?
So I think I understood you to say, how would I want to leave in terms of this book, in terms of its impact with
Yes.
others? As I think about the impact of this book, I think about um, folks really searching within themselves, going back to my reaching within, right? Everything is connected. Reaching within themselves to say, how can I show up to be a better leader? Whether it's leading at home, whether it's, leading in a community, whether it's leading at work. And are they able to serve as a force multiplying plier by providing folks with the strategies and tips? And it's okay to show up. And I think someone mentioned about pivoting, right? As a leader, depending on the situation, like right now with all the uncertainties, for folks to pick up this book and understand that in a VUCA, as they call it, VUCA environment or VUCA environment, and you may say, what is that? I don't know why that stuck with me from my graduate program, VUCA. In times of vulnerability, uncertainty, consequences, and what's the A for? I can't remember the A. Oh, my brain is escaping me now. But ambiguity. So in uncertainties, in those times, people need us, right? Other leaders need us. So this is about also leading other leaders. So if you're a people leader of other supervisors, this book is about that too. In terms of how do you lead others. So this is going to have a tremendous impact, as I mentioned, about the Step into Leadership Greatness Foundation. This book, I talk about that foundation, how it was birthed out of Step into Leadership Greatness, and my mom, and how she served as a great influencer for me, one who had a fifth grade education, and she showed up with such high emotional intelligence to be able to raise my brother and I, until she could not do that any longer. But my point is that you can lead no matter where you are. And I respect all the stories and all the traits that people bring. And I also wanted to share with you about that last question, if I can, for a few seconds, about how it is important in terms of how you show up as an authentic leader with your teams. And in order to build that trust with them, they have to know that you are showing up. And I had an unconventional way of reaching different teams. And you always got to remember, as a leader, and definitely during this uncertain times, that you go into what is within your control and what's within your influence. And you have to remember to continually to ask yourself that question. If it's not, then push that aside and check in on yourself. If you're not okay, it's okay not to be okay. Like last week, I had a hard time,
Right.
you know it, a couple of other authors, because I'm like, oh my God, we lost, two great people in a short period of time. And we're trying to navigate through it. And when I get in those spaces, I just sit my tail down somewhere, right?
Right.
And I take a time out. Because here's the thing, you don't want to bleed on other people. Right? You don't want to bleed. So as a leader, yes, we talked about 360s. Yes, we talked about these DISC assessments and all this other stuff, right? But what are you doing for yourself? This goes back to the reaching within piece. Are you seeking a therapist, right? Do you have a coach? How are you keeping yourself whole to make sure that you are showing up? You know the old saying, you can't pour from an empty cup, empty glass, whatever. Put your mask on first before you can help others. Because if you're exhausted, if you got things going on, you can bleed on your team. And trust me, they feel it, they can sense it. And certain behaviors will start showing up from them. So I needed to say that. I don't know why, but somebody needed to hear that.
I need to hear it.
Some people needed to hear that. So this book is going to give a lot of strategy tips and tools. So I can't wait on February 20th when we have our virtual launch party and our bestseller campaign. I'm excited. And again, shout out to Dr. Tashika. She, I have to give her kudos in terms of her and you being an inspiration for me to even start the Step into Leadership Greatness anthology, because we both were in her book.
Yes.
And so she's very inspiring as well. So
yeah, so I'm full right now. Today has been an amazing day. And that is, and as a leader, here's a note to self. I have these things, therapeutic things that's around my room all day. You survive 100% of your bad days. That's it. You have survived 100% of your bad days. So, ladies, it has been phenomenal to have you on here. And again, if any of you, the platform is open. Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul is open, and we welcome you here. Audience, I want to say thank you so much for entrusting to watch and listen for these great, phenomenal ladies. And, there's more to come. We have so much more. The year is rolling because it's February already. And there's so much in store. But, I have a saying every week that I leave out with, a lot of people don't feel like they're loved, but know that you're loved here at the Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul podcast. But I also want to go a little bit deeper to do an affirmation today. Jennifer, you started this. So you started this. It's been a really good day. And I actually did this earlier today. And it's talking about, you're talking about yourself. And we're talking about, when you're talking about yourself, you're talking about the whole self. That means the mind, the body, and the spirit. So for those of you, and don't just look at prosperity as being the money thing. It's talking about wellness and all of the areas, right? So I'm going to leave this out. And this is a special affirmation to say, I am going to align with what the leadership of nature has within me, which is serenity. I'm finding peace in every breath that I will take. I'm finding balance in every breath that I take. I'm finding balance in every step that I make. I am going to be deeply connected to others. I welcome the love, I welcome the joy, and I welcome the unity. This life that I have, I am creating a life filled with purpose, gratitude, and a limitless possibility. That goes out to everyone. He that has ear, she that has ear, let you hear. That was for you. All right. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And again, we'll be back next week. We'll actually be back next week with our Dr. Karen, who will be coming up talking about some good history that we need to have in our health and wellness. So again, until next week, I'm Dr. Michelle Bolden Hammond here at the Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul.